Welcome everyone. I'm Kathleen with Creative Interviews, Inspirations from the Well of TreeSisters Well of Creativity. And please join me in giving a big forest welcome to Raila Mar. Hi Raya.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, thank you. I'm very good. It's the time of the year that it's getting darker earlier, so it's kind of slowing down in Finland now.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, that's here. It's happening here too. It's good and bad. Letting go of all that nice, cuddly, warm, and now going into the cold. But I love the darkness too, just to relax and sink into it. Let things percolate, like all your projects that we're going to talk about. So before we begin, here's a little bit about Raila. Raila is an interdisciplinary artist based in Finland and leader in Breathing Art Mandala and Mandala RY, international NGO supporting environmental work through collaboration with artists. Her background is strongly rooted in feminine leadership skills, environmental art, and peace activism in different forms. The current interest Raila wants to carry and develop are supporting people and nature through creative workshops for emotional and awareness skills, nature mandala work, and massive fundraising in aid of TreeSisters Women Seeding Change organization. So it's just such a pleasure to have you here, and you and I have talked, and I'm really happy to share what you're doing. It's just so exciting because I love what you're doing. It's really different, and it's totally from your soul, and it's a very creative way to make change and to plant trees and to do all the things that, are really making a difference in the world. So my first question to you would be, what drew you to TreeSisters?
What drew me to TreeSisters?
Yes.
It was 5 years ago, and it went kind of just aligned. Like when I was ready to direct my work towards environmental things, like support environmental work through creativity, I found TreeSisters, and it was so similar to my approach that I joined immediately. And ever since, when I have been developing my own project, I have been like always learning from TreeSisters the ways to do it, and also studying in the courses and being a volunteer in the campaigns. So it has been kind of going both ways all the time. Yeah. Because I loved a lot this that TreeSisters have the courses also that are about the local nature and still supporting the global nature, let's say, like through climate work. Yeah.
Right. And a lot of your projects were already, you were kind of involved in that way. Anyway, you were doing creative projects to bring environmental awareness to your community, right, in Finland. And so then you're like, okay, now I can connect to others who are doing this around the world, and it's been helping your projects to move forward, but you've also been helping, back and planting trees. So thank you for that. Would love to hear a little bit more about your project and share that with everyone. But I just want to ask a little bit about Finland, like what, as you're, it's different. I live just outside Chicago, as you know, we've talked about this, that it's a different atmosphere. Our country has, our city, Chicago, has over 2 million people in the one city. And how many people are in Finland?
In Finland, we have 5 million in the whole country, and it's like spread out through quite a big area. So it is there is a lot of space, like per person,
Yeah.
and Finnish culture has a lot of silence and its features. So it's a lot of nature and quiet,
Yeah.
compared to big cities and metropoles. So
And you still have big cities in Finland, so you know that's still happening, but you have more of the spaciousness and the quiet, I suppose, around that, right? So
yeah.
you want to tell me, tell us more about your project and the Mandala project, and I'll bring up some pictures here. I'll share my screen. There we go. Can you see it?
Yes, yeah, yeah. I
Okay.
see.
So just go ahead and share what you want to share.
Okay, yeah. So 2.5 years ago, I got this vision of making a really big mandala of nature materials, and it was very kind of meditative, like contemplating what the nature wants to offer. And it was based, this vision, it was really based on the deep listening and guidance of the environment, like what to bring in, and it was deeply linked to the silence, like to the connection beyond words and silence. And since I also, before doing that, I was often singing and doing things in nature, also through dance and things. I had this strong experience from that. The nature often responds, and it's beautiful, the sensitivity that comes about.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I started making this. For example, this mandala I have made in Spain, and I started making it by myself, but slowly it has grown to be more like a community project. I have invited in some like women and also men to create their own mandalas, and as it is a symbol of impermanence and integration or healing in many cultures, then we have been sharing stories about like what gets us forward through the difficult times, or some stories of healing, basically.
Beautiful.
Or a crisis. Yeah, and now we then have a crowdfunding campaign going on where artists are invited to donate artworks, and then these are rewards for the supporters.
Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful. It is so moving, just to look at. It's I can't look away from it. It's so beautiful. Is this in a sandy area, or is it?
Yeah, this is actually in Spain. It's in a kind of a yoga center where is also a permaculture place called Surrealila, but they have horses there. So this is they gave me this space for 2 weeks to make these mandalas where normally the horses would walk around.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's why it was so plain.
Yeah, they trampled it down, and it probably has some good horse medicine then too, in this earth that's coming through when you're.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Let me put the next one on. And so then when, as you started to expand this idea, what happened? How did that go?
Well, I first started to develop the idea already this 5 years ago, but it went slowly. But I also started making podcasts, and I framed it in this way that I would interview artists and other specialists around the climate change, and then we would always fund like 108 trees through TreeSisters, like whenever we made the podcast. And then I slowly developed this whole thing, and then this mandala vision came in, and then slowly other people have also come in, and we built this association, and it started to feel ready also to that we could offer workshops. So then it has had these different sides to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a long time like really trying to find the way how the arts could support environmental work,
Yeah.
because it's not obvious like how could it go. And then now this year's summer I got this idea when I was opening a window for a bee actually to go, or a wasp to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in an exhibition, and then I dropped down 2 artworks because they were in the window.
Yeah.
And then I had to pay for them quite a lot of money.
Oh.
And then I thought, when I look at my own art photo prints, which I always had been carrying around because when I was moving, I thought that this is the idea I've been waiting for somehow, like that, okay, art has a price, like it's valued, and I know that artists can donate, like if
Yeah.
they're up for supporting, they can donate. And so far everybody has been like really open for this, like they're like, yeah, I like whoever can or have this situation, then it's been great to receive all these different artworks and creative things from different countries. It's they are like, I love to look at art and feel the creativity and ideas, and they're always so unique. And then it's really nice way of connecting people to it, and also to the tropical reforesting.
Right.
So it has started to feel it works together. Like we see like, what, yeah, there are like endless possibilities in a way, like when people have the motivation really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Opening up your creativity gives you new ideas and possibilities and potentials and even hope, right? I mean, it is.
Yeah, it brings about the connection and the beauty also, which has a lot of hope in it naturally.
Yes. I heard a quote the other day, and I can't remember who it was by. I think I actually posted it in the well too, but it was that art is the highest form of hope. So, and I believe that this project really shows that too,
Well,
And
thank you.
yeah. And you're still accepting art for your fundraiser, right?
Actually, now when this comes out, I think we are kind of finished for this round.
Okay.
Because last day the campaign is open is on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
So, and on Monday and Tuesday we will go to a conference, which is it's from different organizations and politicians from European Union come together in Helsinki.
Yeah.
So Monday and Tuesday we will be there, and we will be doing this nature mandala with them in like to support the conference.
Right.
So,
tell us more about that. How did that come about that you were able, to work with the government essentially?
Yes, it's since I have been in this alternative scene for a long time, I happened to meet one woman who works there, who is organizing the conference.
Mm-hmm.
And we just talked about, like, we were just kind of asking, like, how are you and what are you doing nowadays? And then she said that they're organizing the conference, and it's such a hard work. Like, it's so hard because the news are so negative or heavy.
Yeah.
And they are working for this proposal for Prime Minister's office, because it's the Finland's turn to have the chair of European Union this half a year. So she said that this is so heavy work that they need some positive like community art or something like this.
Yeah.
And I said that we are doing this because I'm mobilizing artists for the environmental work.
Yeah.
So I think we are very ready to bring this if you need this. And then the idea grew from that.
Yes. Oh,
And it's kind of a side, like it's one thing that is visual and like side program in a way.
right, right.
Yeah.
It's supporting what they're doing and giving everybody kind of a place to have a deep breath and relax from all of the heavy news and to listen closer to the earth, like you said, and be in that silent space.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Yes, and since it's called Beyond Growth, the conference.
it's called, I'm sorry,
Beyond Growth.
Okay.
So it's like a proposal for measuring things in different ways in society.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's kind of presenting a different way also of looking at things. And then this mandala is a good symbol for that, since it's round and it has its cycles. The materials won't stay fresh forever. It's
Yes.
like yeah.
Yes, it shows the impermanence, and it's this one here is sacred geometry in the middle, and I understand it's all part of the cycles that we're going through, and it's so exemplary of what they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, when you do something like this one looks fairly large. It's maybe
Mm-hmm.
8 feet wide or maybe bigger.
Yeah.
Is that normally the size you would do, and is that probably the size you'll do at the conference?
Yes, I think probably the inner part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, that's because the space itself is not so wide, like it's not so open. It's uh, yeah, but anyway, approximately yes.
Yeah. And then you'll have, just a little bit about the, techniques and how you also bring people in to do it. Do you have like buckets then of each of the seeds and different stones or petals and things like that that they can work with? Or how do you organize a group when you're working with this?
Yeah, that's basically how we will do it. That we are like a group of 4 people.
Yeah.
So we will bring the materials separated, and now we have done this just outside mostly always. So we have brought some of the materials and then collected from the place, like because there's always something around.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. Also, we bring these elements like from where we live, but also from the nature around the building, and then we'll see how it forms itself, like in that space and with these people who come.
Right. Yeah. It's everyone has a different message and a different feel about it. And do you leave it there then to sort of compost back into the earth, or do you collect back some of the seeds and things? I see there's some acorns and things.
Yeah, this particular one is right now. It is in the place. It has been there for October,
Oh,
and it doesn't look like this anymore. But it has changed because this was like 1 week ago or so.
yeah, yeah.
And then we will like take it apart.
Mhm.
That's one possibility, or we will leave it there for November also, because now we have just heard that there is a group of volunteers in Helsinki who come and take care or help with gardening and things. And I have proposed that they could also help with this if we leave it there for November also.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because now we are planning that we can add some lights and things. But I mean, we will collect the materials like slowly away then when we finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting to think of, creating a living mandala that continues, and there's somebody who's watching it, and kind of putting pieces back or adding new pieces as it goes through the seasons. That's interesting. I love that idea. Are those white, like rose petals or something scattered in the center?
Yes, yes, they are. They are, and I think it will snow next week, so then we'll see how it is.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was going to ask you, have you been taking pictures as it's been, going through whatever changes it's going through? Do you go back there and take pictures now and then?
Yes, and now, yes, because then it takes quite some time to clean it up a bit, because now there are a lot of birch trees around and the yellow leaves have been like covering the whole mandala.
Oh,
And then we were out there with my aunt, and then we were cleaning and raking a little bit and planning what's next, and then
yeah,
we took some pictures.
yeah,
And yeah, it's lovely because the colors can change. It's
yeah.
like
I
in
would
one
love.
day it can change a lot.
Oh, I would love. Yeah, I would love to see like I'm sure you've already put together some kind of little slideshows and things like that, but I think that would be beautiful. What is all of the yellow sort of? It looks like a pigment of something.
Yeah, that's turmeric.
It is turmeric. Okay, I was.
Yes, because one day my friend from Nepal said that he would come to see it with some Indian yogi. So then
Oh,
I added some turmeric.
oh, beautiful. Yes, to connect to celebrate his country. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And your idea is also to sort of, you're doing it at the conference, and then to bring that idea of doing these mandalas, for the reason, that you're doing them in at conferences that are discussing these very important environmental and life issues. You want to bring this as proposal further and further, and that's what you're trying to establish now, is
Yeah,
to do that. Hmm.
yeah, I think, and like that, and we have it as a reward in our campaign also,
Mm,
that we can come to an event or museum or somewhere,
yeah,
and I feel like it's a nice way of having the discussion up also in the art world,
yeah,
like that. Whenever we would do it, some part of the support would go to the tropical reforesting,
yeah.
and in that way, like, because I had this question. I was living in Copenhagen when I first started
Hmm.
this project in Denmark, and then I had this question, like how like what is the influence art can have,
Hmm.
and how can we tell what it is. And I started to like this idea that we can tell by the amount of trees we plant, and uh, and also it's a statement of like how we're producing art is a choice, and this is from nature materials and it will go back to nature.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interconnected to the whole scheme of everything, and it's easy to relate to. That's the question that obviously I ask all the time is, how can I know that creativity is one of the, major powers that we have alongside love. And we've been, we haven't really been taught that, especially from a young age. It's more like, okay, that, coloring is over. Now you have to learn the real things, and the important things, and artistry and creativity and visualization and imagination, and actually choice, to be able to make a decision. That's kind of all been dampened, so that people think they don't have a choice, like they just have to go along in the world, and this is the way it is, and we have to listen to whoever's making the rules at the time. And that's really one of the things that drives me so much, is because I believe that, creativity, that awakening creativity in everyone will empower them to be able to create a better world, literally, like, creating a mandala, creating a piece of art, creating a dance, all of those things. That's the energy. And then to realize that we can envision, that's a power that we can make changes with. And so I'm just so grateful every time I see any creativity being brought to the light. And then on top of that, just bringing artists together, because uniting all of the artistry around the planet, I feel like that energy alone can shift the energy of the planet. It's creation energy. And that brings me to my next question for you is how, you've pretty much explained it already, but how does nature around you and your, local landscape there in Finland, I believe you have a lot of mountains, and there's obviously water, close to you. How does that connection help you with your connection to, from nature to your muse, like you were talking about the silence and listening and what the earth wants to tell you, what each pine cone wants to tell you. How does that feel for you? Like, how can you express that?
Yeah, Finland is really a country of thousands of lakes and forests. And then north up in Lapland, there are some, when you go towards Norway, there are mountains, but not really. Like here where I live, it's really full of lakes and forests everywhere.
Yeah.
And right now we are working together we are 3 in a group, and we have been building this campaign. And we have one day in a week, like each of us have had this day when we don't do anything else but go to nature and connect and build the mandala if it feels like. And we consider that like as the most important day of the week, like of the working week. And because it's the integration of whatever has happened, and it's like in any other environments, you're like reflecting kind of your subconscious knowledge in the environment. So we have made time for making it really conscious or coming into our knowing. And then we've been sharing these days, like what was the message of this day, like when we had time to be with nothing special, like no aims to go toward, but more go like inside and go to this space of intuition, and which I found a lot, which happens in TreeSisters, like this nature-based feminine leadership. It's like if it's supposed to really be the basis, then we have to practice it. And then we've taken this as a routine also, and it's been really good. And for myself, I find like just personally, I really find a lot of creativity in my everyday life, because I live close to nature, and everybody does in Finland, almost like maybe not very city center, but otherwise everybody's always in the nature because it's like that.
Yes.
It has its many sides, but I mean, for me, it is really, I more and more take it in, because for example, here I see a lot of deers, and the other day I saw elks passing, like crossing the road, and it's impressive. Like sometimes in Finland also we forget it, and just complain about the dark and cold because it is a bit extreme in this up north.
Yeah.
And yet I'm trying to get to the core of the question, like how the local nature connects me to the muse or to the source of creativity. I think it's a lot to do with the playfulness of nature elements.
Yeah.
It's because they are a bit surprising, and then you have to be awake for the things. And I think that's one big element for me.
Yeah,
that's what I like, at least a lot.
That's perfect. Yeah, I often think that too. You know, once we can really just fall back into like that playfulness that we, you know, got away from, I think we were supposed to stay there. You know, like that is our connection. I love that you said that and brought that up. That's when I feel most creative, is when I just let loose and play. But when we're here, I love it, but you're going to have to explain to me what this came from for you.
Yeah, I was studying arts some years back now, 6-7 years back. I wanted to write the book of one bigger project, so I went to studies because I couldn't get it done otherwise.
Yeah.
And then we had also painting course there with one great teacher, and we did a lot of these colorful paintings, like so that we would not start with a white canvas or white plate, but we first made it with pigments and some glue, like very freely. We made this how do you call it, like when we painted the boards with the many colors. Mm-hmm. And then that was the beginning, and then we started to make the paintings with some models or something very free. So it was quite improvised, and then I have done this painting without thinking of anything, like kind of in this playful mood that this is gonna look like this, like this, and now I think there is a turtle coming in, and there is no bigger story in it.
Right. Oh wow. And yet you can see so many things. I can just we got the tree, and you know, you're there dancing, I think.
Yeah, that's what I never thought myself, because I thought this is like in the bottom of the ocean, and yeah, this is like a water plant, and then this little turtle has somehow this like swimming up, and
you're the turtle. No, I don't. You know, you can look that's the beauty, isn't it, that everybody sees something different. And I've never asked you before, you know, I wanted it just to be new as I'm looking at it and everyone's looking at it. My first thought was that there's this beautiful, you know, there's a waterfall in the back and a moon, and there's all this, you know, vegetation, but for some reason this one tree is just, all of this water is soaking the roots of this tree. Like it looks like it's splashing with all this beautiful water kind of nourishing it. And then I just thought that was you, and you're dancing around it, and playful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible how differently we see things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like how I have one painting of a tree, and then my friend said, I don't see any tree in it. And then I'm fascinated by, when we do these mandalas, how different the reasons can be. Like why somebody felt like putting something somewhere, and then when they explain, you could never guess. Like explanations can be so complex, and
Yeah.
for the person doing it, it's obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just awakens a lot of different things. Like if I continue to look at this, which I, hopefully there'll be everyone who views this will give it a shot, and maybe put it in the comments actually. But there's so many messages, and what is it that it's trying to tell us, right? And particularly in abstract work, I think, where you let go and you just kind of let it become completely intuitive, and let the creativity come through you, that there's a message in that, just like there is in the nature, right? Like just when you're holding a seed or hugging a tree or creating the mandala, the messages are going to be different for each of us if we kind of just allow them to come and tell us whatever they want to tell us. And wouldn't it be beautiful just to just have time, like you said, that you're setting aside the time just to listen and be in nature and creating anything. It really doesn't matter if you're not even if you're not actually creating anything, right? It's just if you're in nature, you are creating something. You're creating a bond, and
Yeah.
you're creating, we're always creating. So anyone who says they're not creative, I always tell them, okay, well, it's funny how you got dressed this morning, or it's funny how you made some food for yourself, because it's all creative. It's all your
Yes.
it's our choice how we do it. And
Or just look at your dreams.
yeah, our dreams, and even if we don't understand what the messages are, that's okay too. We just make it up, and let it fill us with joy and playfulness and respect and appreciation. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I know that I would like to talk to you more about creating, where these murals can go to. I would love to do it in Chicago and just cover one of those busy streets and just see how people kind of move around something that's so in such peace, and with bits of nature. They have done studies in big cities, like Chicago and other cities around the world, that there are children and adults even who haven't seen a lot of nature. They don't even know what it is in some instances. And so that's another thing I thought was really beautiful about the mandala, is that you're bringing bits and pieces to them, but also putting them so that people can work with them. So they're not just going to be seeing it and not knowing what to do, like, oh, that's beautiful, but how am I connected to it? All of a sudden they're putting this mandala together, and they become automatically connected and part of the mesh of life in a way. It's just really, really beautiful. So I'm going to go back to our full screen, and I'm going to ask you to please share, I mean, not that you haven't already, because you have, but just, one gift of your creative wisdom from your journey that you would like to share with everybody who's watching on the creative path, even if they don't believe in their own ability, or just what is the truth of us. We're connected to creativity, and what would that wisdom be for you to share?
Okay, I'm gonna have to take a little moment.
Please do.
It's okay, yeah. Now I somehow got very nice example, which when I first started with this mandala, when the vision had come, I was together with my Danish friend, and we decided that we will create some some kind of nature art and this mandala, and we didn't know how.
Yeah.
And then we chose a forest, like we chose an area which was a forest. It was in the city, but still a little forest. And then we just started creating this method, and we we called it Forests of Truth.
Ooh.
Just a little thing like that.
Just a little thing.
But we thought, okay, we will go there and we will do this during some time, like some weeks.
Yeah.
And so we went there like on our own or together, and then we were inquiring to ourselves when we got some ideas what to do. We wanted to somehow get deeper, and we were inquiring to ourselves, like, where is this idea coming from? And then we would see all these layers, and we would also see the inner critique, and we would see really a lot. And finally we didn't do like then we spent quite some time with this inquiry, and then it felt like, okay, I don't know, we felt I don't want to do anything now. But then when we kind of let go, like seeing all these layers, we still did something, and then we showed it to each other. And it was, since we had this inquiry and going deeper, it was really speaking to us quite, because we could know, like we could see that the other one, it comes so from the heart and from the core, so that we had like natural appreciation for this act, like something when the other one tells, like, I put this here, I did this jaguar paw here, or like whatever had come, we knew that it had come from rather deep place. And the results were small, but the process was kind of whole and big.
Yeah.
So yeah, so when you asked this question, the kind of the first thing for me was this question, like, what would be the natural impulse? And to kind of, when you get the natural impulse, kind of witness it a little bit, like, what is this impulse? And it will open the way every time if you follow. For me, it's like that.
Like, be curious about the impulse.
Yeah, never belittle the natural impulse of creativity.
Or belittle it, yeah.
Yeah, it's always had this possibility of a big opening, because I feel like my whole project has been like this.
Oh, see.
It's been like I gave the chance to most strange ideas, like the wasp, and it's good. It's always creating connections further, maybe slowly, but sometimes fast also.
Right, yeah, it feels slow if you let it feel slow, right? But if you let it unfold and you know that it's unfolding, it doesn't feel slow anymore. It just feels trusting. You have to put trust, and you know, trusting yourself, right? Just to let go and to be, you know, every little spark of an idea or an intuition or a vision is a gift, right? And you know, I think that's very important message.
Yes, and to share it with the people who you know won't put it down.
Yeah.
Because they see it differently, and it's important that when there is some small opening, that there are people who don't
stomp on it.
You don't step like over, like just for whatever reason. But I feel like that's really nourishing if you can share even a little spark. Somebody else can see it in a different way, and it can like grow together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that bit of wisdom is golden, really, you know. And I also, you know, we're talking about the big picture of how important it is to listen to what's coming through, and you know, the messages and the truth, but also the inner picture of you know, how we can allow ourselves to have trust and ourselves, you know, like just, okay, this is what it came out with and there it is, you know, rather than looking for anyone to approve of it. It doesn't need approval. We don't need approval for our creative voice to be important, you know, and
Yeah.
it's very different than the way that we've all been brought up with art, you know, comparing it. And I went to the Art Institute of Chicago, and it was hard to deal with the idea that it was a constant comparison. It wasn't like, okay, just, you know, here we are, we're going to really learn just to open up and to trust and to listen. And
Yeah.
you know, the beauty of it, it was more like, okay, this is what we think is really good, and you know, can you be that good? You know, or something.
Yes.
And yeah, that's just not the point at all, at all, at all. And I believe that that bit of wisdom is going to go a long way for everybody who's listening today. And I appreciate your work so much, and I love talking to you every time we have so far. And there you are sitting in your beautiful cabin with all of that too. Just I just want to be there so much with your, you showed me earlier, there's a fireplace, and it's just this beautiful little cabin that's connected to it right outside your door. It's just all nature. And ah, I just want to be there. And through this, you know, and through talking to you, that we get to experience it through you. And
Yes. There are other people also, luckily, around.
yeah, you're not just there by yourself. Yeah, it sounds like a really beautiful creative community that you're connected to there. So that's
Mm.
really important to connect to each other, and particularly to other creative people. You know, it's, I think that you can do a lot, you can make a big difference, and I think you already are. And I just wish you all the best. And I'm sure everybody else who listens to this will make sure that they look at your website and get lots more information on what you're doing
Yeah.
now and into the future. And I'll put the link in the notes, in the comments. And
Yes, please. And if anyone, please support the campaign. We have a song, and then we have Kathleen's posters also, and we will continue. I mean, we have these artworks as rewards, and we will continue later on. So anybody who wants to send in art can also do that. Maybe not for this campaign,
yeah,
but this is, you're very welcome to support it until Thursday, because we will gather the funds so that we can continue working with this more.
yes, and it's going to go no matter what. I already feel that, like I can feel that,
Mm.
the power around it. And it's really my honor just to, you know, to donate my artwork and plant trees and connect to what you're doing way in Finland. And like I said, maybe someday some kind of huge mandala, you come here, we do it in Chicago.
Yes,
um,
we do.
so yeah, I think this you know, this is something worth spreading for sure. So thank you so much for joining me today and joining all of us. And
Yeah.
we'll just keep this going like a mandala, a continuous circle.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.